Do you ever open Osu and think, man, something needs to change? Well, to be honest, I haven't. I've been on full area using a tablet ever since I started playing Osu in 2017, and I really didn't think there was anything wrong with my setup. That was until I noticed calluses forming pretty frequently on my pinky after every long session. This wasn't really anything out of the ordinary for me, as I was used to deft gripping my pen for stability. But one day, I actually felt real discomfort when gripping my pen. It wasn't painful, just restrictive, for the lack of a better word. I don't know when exactly I made up my mind, but I decided I would try out Mablet after the conclusion of all my ongoing tournaments, which was around March of last year. Back then, I was only vaguely aware of the playstyle's existence and actually found it really interesting, despite never seriously picking up mouse previously. It was only after watching Nirux, I don't know how to pronounce your name, sorry if I butchered it. Yeah, it was only after watching Nirux's video that I decided to bite the bullet and give it a serious shot. But first, I'm sure you've probably never heard of me, so I guess a little introduction is in order. I'm Volition, a 5-digit standard player from the great D-ranker Bay of Hong Kong. I also peaked around rank 7000 a couple years back. I used to be heavily involved in the tournament scene, but nowadays I mostly play in solo, especially in Osu Laser. Though I think there isn't really an objective standard for what being a good player means in Osu, I'm making this video to share my progress of transitioning from a playstyle I've mastered for 6 to 7 years at this point, to one I've quite frankly had zero experience with, and my learning process throughout the past year. I hope my story is able to connect to a lot of people, no matter whether you're higher ranked or lower ranked than me, especially if you constantly overthink about your peripherals and playstyle. So, quick intermission. I had actually planned to make a video on this all the way back in January, but a lot of stuff has happened between then and now, so I'm sorry if this video may come across a bit scuffed because I had to redo the whole thing. Also, this is the first time I've attempted to make a commentary video like this, so if you like what you see, leave a like to let me know whether I should do something similar in the future. Anyways, back to the video. It all began March 27th, 2025, where I decided to use a previously broken G Pro X Superlight as the shell for my Mablet setup. I don't exactly have many exported replays of scores I got back then, but I could recall the transition being a lot smoother than I expected. The first week went by and it mostly involved me slowly getting used to gripping a mouse, which I enjoyed a lot more than gripping a pen, as there was not nearly as much strain on my pinky. Within a week or so, I had already managed to set my first Mablet 300 PV play on that one Cookie Z aim control slot map on Laser. The play was actually really impressive to me at the time, so it ended up helping me build up my confidence in this playstyle a lot, as it was a lot more viable than I thought. I know people in the comments will probably be asking whether mouse drift is a big deal or not, and from my personal experience, it definitely is, as my Mablet area is roughly equal to like 420-ish DPI on mouse, and at that point my mouse would like begin to slip off my mouse pad even after just 30 seconds of like moderately spaced jumps. And for some reason I just cannot aim with an actual mouse. I don't know why. I just have a huge skill issue, so no matter how hard I tried, I just cannot aim with a mouse. So I hope that answers your question. So I then signed up to the small tournament called Teal's Basement Cup 6 as the gimmick specialist, and I thought I was at least able to somewhat pull my weight towards the later stages. Overall, I was really happy with my performance that tournament, though my teammates were undoubtedly the ones doing the heavy lifting. They didn't mind at all that I changed my playstyle mid-tournament, and they were actually pretty chill about it. It was just one of those tournaments where nobody really cared about the results and we were all just here for a fun time, for the vibes, and I'd say we did get the fun time that we wanted. Yeah, so in that tournament we placed second overall, and after that a good friend decided to give me this lifeless corpse of an OP1WE from Endgame Gear to act as the new shell for my Mablet. I personally played a lot of CSGO back in the day, and I've been using the fingertip grip for the longest time. So as you can see here in ELO shapes, the OP1 is actually a lot thinner and smaller than the Superlight. And that 3mm width difference is like super noticeable in hand as well. At this point in my Mablet journey, I'd already felt that gripping a mouse was way more comfortable than holding a pen, and I don't think I could go back to tablet even if I tried. And that was crazy to me, as I've used a pen in this game ever since I started, and now I was adapting to mouse so fast. Upon trying the OP1, it felt like everything just clicked into place. I didn't really grip the mouse any different, but I felt like I had a lot more control due to the smaller shape. While this is not necessarily an OP1 show video, I think it was at this very point that I believed my Mablet skill had a chance of surpassing tablet, and it was up to me to make it happen. And that summer, I would string together a set of scores that I'd never imagined anyone with just 3 months of experience using a playstyle would ever set.
I was playing a little bit of Man.
How much was that? How much was that? I just got 360 PP from Summer Party, bro. Maybe it was the Mablet, or maybe I just miraculously became good at streams overnight. But it was the first time in years where I felt like my flow aim and stamina were just on point. The epitaph score especially was one where I never imagined I could set, as stamina as a skill set was one of my major weaknesses. Honestly, my ego was through the roof. Like, I really thought I was at the top of my game using an uncommon playstyle such as Mablet, and my aim control felt even more consistent than before. Like, everything just felt so good. And so, I decided to sign up to tournaments again to see how I'd fare. And this time, things did not go as smoothly. Like, I wasn't playing bad, my scores were still good, but something just got to my head. I started thinking FCing was the only option. I slowly spiraled and spiraled, and after one particularly bad tournament match, I started to doubt my ability. Was I really as good as I thought? Thoughts like that couldn't leave my head. OC had been a large part of my life, and my performance mattered a lot to me.
That's so unlucky, man.
So I tried to act nonchalant in front of my teammates, but deep inside, I knew I was doing something wrong. And like any normal person encountering an issue, I would go on a wild goose chase for solutions. I started asking for advice from other tournament players regarding what to change in my setup, already thinking something was wrong. And several suggested changing my Mablet area, or sensitivity for that matter, as many top mouse players run a much higher sense than I do. I was completely sold on the idea, and that, in hindsight, would turn out to be the biggest mistake I've ever made. A huge slump would happen that would last not just for a day, nor just a week, nor a month, but 6 whole months. Getting used to an area change was brutal. I initially lowered it all the way down from 152 times 85.5 millimeters to 50 times 28.125 millimeters, and started playing different aim maps to get accustomed to the change. And nothing worked. Aim slop didn't help. Consistency didn't help. And my aim was just a mess. It got to the point where I was struggling to even play 5-star maps, which to me was completely unacceptable. I remember getting so tilted at myself that I made an ultimatum that if I didn't get all my skill back by the time 5-digit World Cup 2026 happened, I would sit it out and give up for the year. By then, I had lost all confidence in my skills, and my play count plummeted, a sign that I was losing motivation for the one competitive game I truly enjoyed. I thought, that'd be it. I guess I'd just end up being a washed legacy player whilst missing out on a lot of milestones that I deemed just slightly out of reach. Then, in a moment of clarity, I remembered there was still an endgame goal I set for myself many years back that did not require me to be at 100% form, only requiring immense dedication and a lot of time. Something I possessed, as my university's semester would end and my winter break would soon begin. This goal would end up being 100 billion rank score, something I deemed impossible back then. But by the time I would change my area, I was already 4/5 the way there, having just over 80 billion rank score. Besides, Osu Laser, the more modern official client, had a scoring system that allowed you to extract most of the map's maximum score without achieving a full combo, like the older stable client. With all of these factors in play, there was actually very little reason for me not to attempt to complete this milestone, so for the next month and a half, I would begin my final grind before I quit the game for good. The initial grind was very tilting, as I would constantly be missing on 4 to 5-star marathon maps with the most basic jumps. I was even maxing out at 500 combo on a 5-star map with a max combo of 5000, which was extremely low. But what mattered was that I was submitting the scores with high accuracy, pretty much consistently getting above 99% on most maps I played. And at one point, playing Osu just started feeling less like a chore again. I was enjoying the songs I played. I wasn't getting frustrated anymore upon a silly miss. And for once, maybe I felt that I wasn't getting judged anymore by my tournament player peers, and I could actually play at my own pace. Maybe it was also the fact that I was getting closer and closer to the final goal, and that was what mattered the most to me now as a player. On the 12th of December 2025, I would set a 1329 combo run on Garden's Hane no Yurikago, a 5-star swan song to my decade-long Osu career. And my dumb, cringe ass would intentionally plan this out to make it so that this would be my final play I would submit before locking myself out of my OSU account for good and leaving OSU behind. New Year's Day came and went, and a new semester started in university, with no activity on OSU on my part. By that point, I had fully given up on improving. I had been playing casually offline, but nothing above 6 stars. A part of me liked how it ended. How poetic, I thought. At least I sniped. Oh. I sniped my normal skull with no fail. It's over! Chat, it's over. But then, one random day in January, I had the bright idea to change my area back to the original 152x85mm. It was mostly just to play around, as I had no intention of returning to online play anytime in the future. But then, slowly but surely, everything started clicking again. I wasn't shit missing on 5 stars anymore, and in less than a day, I was getting consistent on the high 6 stars as well. Surely not, I thought, wondering why I had just wasted 6 months of my precious improvement time. And then, I logged in once again. Oh, shit! And that brings us to today. I'm gonna be honest, if I ended up releasing version 1 of this video I made back in January, it would probably come off as a lot more depressing because I genuinely did consider giving up and moving on to other games in the past because of how dissatisfied I was with my improvement rate at the time. But now, as of May in 2026, I'm happy to say that I've gotten out of the slum and like to think I've been improving again at a steady rate. An endgame top play on Ice Angel, Hidden Hard Rock, was definitely not on my bingo card, as I thought I'd been hard stuck 499 PP for the last 3 years on tablet. Getting 2000 elo on laser ranks play was also unexpected, as I didn't think being an accuracy player would push me this far in terms of skill cap. So yeah, if there were any takeaways I would have after documenting my 1-year journey with a brand new playstyle, it would be that there was an unexpected lesson learned regarding burnout and overthinking. In hindsight, I knew I probably set my initial expectations too high after a sudden improvement spike, though I've had incredible sessions shortly after switching to Mablet. Improvement takes a lot of time, and sometimes you don't always perform at your best. Banging my head against the wall trying to make adjustments to my setup was definitely not a great decision on my part. But even if you're not changing your playstyle, I feel like contributing your skill stagnation to a single factor is probably not a good idea anyways, as it would just be a burnout 80% speedrun. I would also like to bring some attention to this quote from STL Lock or Stillock, an OWC player, about not overlooking map pool difficulty, as I personally feel this also applies to solo play. Underestimating 5-star maps and not being able to FC them in one session doesn't necessarily mean you've lost skill, and that it's totally okay to have a bad session. I feel like as a tournament player, I would benefit a lot from focusing only on playing the maps to the best of my ability, instead of thinking about missing, as winning the match is obviously more important than performing the best amongst my team. As for my final thoughts on transitioning from tablet to Mablet, I'm sorry if this may be a boring answer to some, but to me it just comes down to preference. From my personal experience, holding a mouse is both more comfortable and more fun than holding a pen, at least when it comes to games like Osu or Estella, etc. That could just be fully dependent on how bad my pen grip is, and your mileage would certainly vary. But yeah, once again, I personally enjoyed playing with Mablet way more than I did with a pen, and probably would not ever consider going back to tablet even if I had a choice. As I don't grip my mouse straight and rely solely on my wrist, Driftless mouse might actually just be a match made in heaven for my grip style, and I can proudly say that I have surpassed my skill cap playing with tablet with this new playstyle of Mablet. So if this video convinces you to switch to Mablet, or even just go back to mouse, go ahead and give it a shot, but don't beat yourselves up like me if you don't find immediate results. Give it some time, and if you don't find it as comfortable as your old playstyle, don't hesitate to switch back. Well, I guess that's all I have to say. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching, man. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed my yapping session, consider leaving a like or subscribing if you want to see more videos like this. I don't monetize these videos, I just do it for the love of the game, so thank you for watching. See ya, man.